there are still these things called watch properties, which again you probably don't want to use most of the time. And as the documentation says, you only really want to use them when you want to perform anything that's what's called asynchronous or expensive. So anything you think is going to take a long time that you think you might need to run on like another CPU thread or something. That's basically the only case where you want to use watch. So if we go with the example of just resetting the counter back to 0, because there is actually one little thing that you need to know about doing something like that. So if you want to run, again, are you familiar with the setTimeout function in JavaScript? Or setInterval at all?
Not more than that.
Okay, so there's two. The two kind of most common asynchronous functions in JavaScript are setTimeout and setInterval. setTimeout takes in a function and it takes in a time in milliseconds. And what setTimeout basically does is it's gonna delay running this function for in this case 5 seconds or 5,000 milliseconds. setInterval on the other hand takes in a function, and what setInterval does is I pass in the same thing 5,000 seconds. This is going to run this function every 5 seconds. So it's going to keep running it forever. So this is a really nice way if you want to set up like a loop that runs forever. You use setInterval.
Would you want to have a function that runs like that? When would you want to have a function that runs like that runs every 5 seconds or something forever?
Lots of
Unless you're spamming ads or something.
Well, maybe you want to do like an animation or something, and you just want it to, or you want to keep generating random data for something.
Sure.
Like email accounts.
Or yeah, you want to check something every 5 seconds, as Mark said. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
There's quite a few cases. So in our case, say we want to set timeout, and we want to reset the counter back to 0 after 5 seconds. So we can do that. How would we do that? We go this.counter equals 0. Yep.
Yeah.
Now this is not gonna. Well, I'll show you. This is not gonna work. Spoiler alert. So I can click here. If I wait some time, well, you can wait forever because it's not going to do anything.
Oh no.
I wonder if there's a console error. There is not. This is the lovely thing about JavaScript is it doesn't throw errors. It's not, when I said lovely there, that was sarcastic, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
So this is a little cheeky problem with JavaScript, which is that this keyword, yep, this doesn't get bound. This only works inside this view object. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But because this function is being called at a later time, this here, I was going to say this, but that doesn't really make any sense, does it? This keyword that is present inside this function no longer refers to the same this that we've been using everywhere else, which is a big problem. So I presume you guys haven't had to tackle this problem before.
I know.
So there are kind of two ways of getting. Well, okay, there's 3 ways of doing this problem, of which I will show you all 3 because you probably need to know them, because you can basically pick whichever one you like because different people will like different ways. The first way is we can create a temporary variable called view instance and set it equal to this. Yeah. And then we can, because of what's something called closure. Have any of you come across the word closure before?
I've never found closure.
Okay, I will maybe explain that another time. That's just
Sorry. That was a bad joke.
That's it. Oh yeah, oh God, Dan, you're terrible. But have you guys ever used in the context of programming?
No,
have you ever used?
No.
Okay, I'll see if I can maybe another time or something. I'll see if I can explain, because
Sure.
closures are they're kind of very important to JavaScript, but I can actually explain them in Python as well, which might be a bit easier for you guys. because they're also really, really useful in Python at solving certain problems. But effectively, all you need to know is that we can't use this inside of a function, but we can create a variable, set it equal to this, and then we can use it. That will work. So that works. And now if we increase the function up here and we wait some time. Oh, it's counter. Oh, sorry, I'm watching counter 2, not counter 1. Sorry. Okay, I'm just terrible today. So we're going to increase counter 2 and we wait some time. And now see it resets back to 0.
Why does that work?
Why does that work? So you're saying, why does that work, but why doesn't this .counter 2 work?
Yeah, basically.
So that comes down to the fact that this keyword here, this only works when you're directly inside this view object. But whenever you're in setTimeout, what's happening is that this keyword actually is now referring to something different.
Okay.
Because you're now this function is getting called from a different context, theoretically. So what we need to do is we need to define a new variable for this keyword. There is another way of doing this. So that's the first way of doing it. So kind of get happy with that. I'll do a different way for the first counter. So we're now watching the first counter. Yep. And note again, we're making sure that the name is exactly the same as the name up here. New val. And let's again do a set timeout function. I don't want it to expire. Maybe we'll do this one after 2 seconds. And I'll just wait a second for you guys to catch up. So give me a shout when you're like near the here.
Yeah.
You okay, Ben? I haven't heard any Ben for a while.
Ben.
I'm somewhat confused.
Okay, what are you somewhat confused about? Please don't say everything because I'll just cry.
Well,
although if you're kind of generally confused about everything, then I can go over it again.
yeah.
But I would recommend you flick through the view thing I just sent in the chat. This is on the Teams chat, by the way.
Okay.
Maybe just flick through that in your own time because they probably explain some things maybe a bit better than me. They probably explain it. There are some videos there, so maybe see if you can find a better definition of are you happy with computed properties, Ben?
Yeah, that is all right.
So, are you kind of happy with watches or not really?
Somewhat.
Okay. So, what, from your kind of understanding, what do you think is going on inside of these watch functions?
Well, it's a very good question, Rob.
So, I mean, maybe I skipped over this like really quickly.
I mean, I guess they're being called only when a certain value changes.
Yep.
And that value is automatically passed into them.
Yep. And it's getting set by whatever name we're setting up here. Yep.
Yeah, right. It's like the setting stuff. I really don't get.
Okay. Oh, this set timeout thing.
The set timeout I have a little trouble with. The bit earlier actually in talking about computed methods, you went over the get and set stuff.
Yeah. Don't forget about that. That was my fault. I think I maybe made things too confusing.
All right, fair.
No, don't worry if that's confusing because I really don't think you'll ever need to use that.
Yeah, okay.
And if not, it's probably one of these things that if it comes up when we need to use it, the time when you need to use it, it will make sense that you need to use it. You going to the toilet now? Did you say?
Presume.
Is everyone here?
I'm
Yeah.
here. I think that.
Ben, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. I think Dan is not.
I think
Dan's
that
gone to
Stu was leaving and immediately left.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I heard something and I wasn't sure if it was Dan going I'm going to the toilet. I presume that's what he said. Let's just wait for him. Let's go over this watch thing, and just to be doubly clear. So yeah, in watch, again, we've got we've got our object here.
Yeah.
And again, the name we're setting here, yeah, that has to correspond to something we have in data. Yeah. So this function here only gets called when counter is changed.
Yeah.
And this one only gets called when counter 2 is changed. Does that kind of make happy?
Yes. Yeah. That bit's all right. That's fine.
Okay. You get kind of lost when I was talking about this set timeout and the this thing here.
Yeah. So I'm a bit thrown by the fact that you can't refer to this directly.
No.
But if you've predefined something.
Yeah, it's weird.
This.
It's very weird. It catches out. I get caught out by this a lot, and a lot of people do. This is like one of the biggest like JavaScript things people get thrown off by. So you're not alone. And again, I think the thing that you're probably struggling with is this idea. It's this asynchronous nature.
Yeah.
So the reason this doesn't work here, yeah, is that the object, this entire thing here that I've selected, this entire object here is what we refer to by this. Yeah. Yeah. That's how we can access things. But because set time is being called in 5 seconds time, this whole thing no longer this whole thing is only run once and no longer exists.
Okay. So
this inside of here. So by the time this function runs, this has been set to something else because we're no longer this no longer exists. Again, it's quite the choice of words here is really annoying.
So by the time the function has been called,
yeah,
this is just something different.
Yeah, which doesn't have counter 2 on it anymore. Or if it did have a counter 2, it wouldn't refer to the counter 2 that we have up here.
Okay, right. Yeah.